3 months ago, JetBlue made a strange announcement. They wanted to buy Spirit Airlines for $3.6 billion. This offer seemed odd for a few reasons. For one, JetBlue and Spirit could not be more dissimilar. What's more, JetBlue's bid was well above market rate, with Frontier offering $2.9 billion just a few weeks prior. Now, Spirit initially rejected JetBlue's bid in favor of Frontier's. Spirit saw Frontier as a better long-term partner despite its lower offer. But JetBlue wouldn't take no for an answer. And just days before the Frontier-Spirit marriage was scheduled to go public, JetBlue upped its bid by an additional $200 million, bringing Spirit back to the table. What exactly is going on here? Why is JetBlue hellbent on buying an airline that's its polar opposite in nearly every way? And more importantly, why are they willing to spend such a premium to do so? Let me explain. Before hopping into this video, I highly recommend you go and watch my recent video on why a Frontier-Spirit merger would be bad for commercial aviation. It'll serve as a really good primer for this discussion, and I'll be sure to leave a link to it both in the upper right and in the video description. Now, at first glance, Spirit and JetBlue seem completely incompatible. The pair couldn't be more diametrically opposed. While being pleasant has always been at the core of JetBlue's ethos, it's not a word many would ascribe to Spirit. You see, JetBlue has always offered more for less. It provides free in-flight Wi-Fi, free satellite TV, free satellite radio, and unlimited snacks and drinks. Spirit, on the other hand, charges for all of those perks. What's more, JetBlue offers the most legroom of any US carrier in economy, and you guessed it, Spirit offers the least. It seems the only real commonality that they share is their preferred plane. Both have made the A320 a focal point of their operations, and should the two merge, combining their fleets would actually be a fairly easy task. But integrating just about everything else, from its products to its practices to its people, would prove a massive headache. So what exactly are we missing here? What is it that JetBlue sees in Spirit that we don't? Well, it turns out that JetBlue doesn't care a lick about Spirit's business model, its planes, or even its passenger base. The one and only reason JetBlue is so eager to buy Spirit is because of its route network. You see, JetBlue seems a lot bigger than it actually is. Maybe that's because its offerings are so unique, or maybe because its founder, David Neeleman, is such an industry icon. But the fact of the matter is the airline's footprint is fairly small. It really only dominates in the American Northeast, with its hubs in New York and Boston. And despite its best efforts, the carrier has long struggled to scale its operations from sea to shining sea. Now, bear with me for just a second as I go on a quick tangent. Did you know that, on average, business class takes up just 12% of a plane's capacity? But despite that, it can generate up to 75% of an airline's revenue. It's no surprise then that flights between JetBlue's home in the Northeast and the US West Coast are some of the most lucrative on Earth. Both regions are massive economic centers, and as a result, draw a large number of high-margin business travelers. By all accounts, JetBlue's Mint business class product has drawn rave reviews, and is widely considered to be one of the best in the United States. So you might imagine that it's a major player in this premium transcontinental market. But it isn't, because try as it might, it's failed to build a presence in San Francisco and LA. SFO and LAX are two of the most slot-restricted airports in the US, meaning expanding into them is not easy. As a result, JetBlue's had to get really creative to carve out a foothold in these markets. For instance, it was once one of the largest operators out of tiny Long Beach Airport. This airport is a mere 25 miles from downtown LA, but is a real pain to get to when you factor in the notorious LA traffic. Up north, the airline purchased a limited number of gate slots at SFO. However, those slots were in the international terminal, meaning JetBlue had to pay a premium to use gates that were typically reserved for wide bodies. At the end of the day, neither of these solutions proved all that scalable, and without a major windfall of slots, JetBlue simply has no chance of becoming a major coast-to-coast player. This leaves just one viable option: buy an airline that calls California its home. JetBlue actually had a golden opportunity to do exactly this in 2016. In that year, Virgin America was put up for sale, and luckily for JetBlue, SFO and LAX were two of its biggest hubs. For once in a blue moon, there were a ton of slots up for grabs. This led to a fierce bidding war between JetBlue and Alaska, a war that JetBlue ultimately lost. In the wake of this deal, Alaska has thrived. Not only has it become a major player within California, but it's also broken into the coast-to-coast market that JetBlue covets. It's painfully clear that the carrier missed out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And by bidding so much money on Spirit, JetBlue is doing everything it can to avoid losing out again. Now, Spirit isn't a perfect stand-in for Virgin. The low-cost carrier does have a healthy number of slots in LA and Las Vegas, but they don't serve the Bay Area via San Francisco, instead operating out of nearby Oakland. But at this point, beggars can't be choosers. For JetBlue, Spirit could be their very last chance to break into California, so it has no choice but to go all in. Now, you might be thinking, why is it their last chance? Well, it's not a secret that US airlines have seen massive consolidation in the past few decades. That means it's becoming harder to find small airlines to target for strategic acquisition. Now, JetBlue is already smaller than most of its peers, so it has even fewer options to buy into a market like SF or LA. And if it misses out on Spirit and fails to grow, it may soon be the one who's getting gobbled up itself. So now that we've done some digging, it should be clear that a Spirit deal gives JetBlue exactly what it needs. But it's worth mentioning that a deal also carries a lot of risk. Look no further than United and Continental as an example of what might go wrong. In 2010, these two carriers merged, uniting under United's flag, and it went horribly wrong. The integration led to culture clashes, procedural misalignment, and bureaucratic management. In the blink of an eye, these two proud and highly respected airlines became reviled overnight. JetBlue runs a similar risk here. Remember, JetBlue and Spirit are near polar opposites, so friction is practically unavoidable. Ultimately, this could jeopardize JetBlue's sterling reputation that it spent years trying to build. But clearly, JetBlue's board thinks the risk is worth it. So when exactly are we going to have a decision on all of this? When will we actually know whether Spirit chooses JetBlue or Frontier? Well, circle June 30th on your calendars. Spirit has a shareholder meeting that day, and we're likely to get answers then. In the meantime, JetBlue will just have to wait with bated breath, because the future of its business, and whether or not it becomes a powerhouse or falls into obscurity, will all be decided in the coming days. So what do you guys think? Would a Spirit takeover actually be worth it for JetBlue? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to watch the companion video, which I'll leave a link to right here. Thank you so much to my patrons for helping to make this video possible. If you like what I do and want to help the channel grow, please check out this link right here. And as always, if you learned something new today, leave a like and subscribe to keep learning. And until I see you again, don't forget to look up.